all you dreamers and creamers out there. So it turns out there was a referendum that took place in the United Kingdom not long ago, the result of which seems to have left a lot of people feeling pretty upset, to say the least. Well, here at League of Holes, we understand that we're living in a pretty stressful time, and a lot of people may be losing sleep as we all move forward into these unprecedented and uncertain times. But it's not all bad news, because we're here with a brand new bedtime story to help you to get to sleep tonight. I hope you all enjoy this one. It's simply called Hail the Jester. My name is McDerminator, and I'll be your driver this fine evening as we all take a ride on the bus to Slumber Town. So, without further ado, grab your pillow, get yourself nice and comfy, and prepare to drift away. About 8,000 years ago last Thursday, a huge war took place between 6 great kingdoms. The war dragged on for years and left all of the territories ravaged, ruined, and in dire need of restoration. Eventually, the kings of these 6 nations agreed to treat with one another. Each one of them signed a document, ensuring an everlasting state of peace between the realms. The document also secured trade links between the kingdoms and allowed people to move freely between the 6 nations, a deal which the kings agreed benefited everyone. One of the great kingdoms was that of Goblonia, a nation of goblins. After the treaty was signed, there was a great migration of people between the 6 realms. Many goblins left Goblonia to seek out new adventures in the strange realms of men that neighbored them, and many men came to Goblonia. Goblonia had an economy that benefited those that worked hard, and the men wanted to better the lives of their families, so moving to Goblonia seemed like a great idea. Goblonia was ruled by King Kamav, a king who held peculiar counsel. Under King Kamav's rule, a lowly jester called Feroris was able to further his career to the point of becoming the king's most trusted advisor. But his ambition knew no bounds, and it wasn't long before he hatched a scheme to dethrone the Goblonian king. Feroris used his old jester's rags as a disguise, traveling from tavern to tavern, telling tales filled with hate about the men who were coming to Goblonia. "Gather round, my goblin brothers," he'd say as he filled their cups with ale. "While you're all here drinking the barkeep dry, there's a devil out there with beady little eyes. He steals your crops at night. He beds your wives all day. We're never having rid of him. The king said he's here to stay. But we can get him out, my friends. They are our enemies. So get out there, tell the king it's their skin or his." The small folk rallied together and took their unfounded complaints about the men to King Kamav. They demanded that Goblonia leaves the union with the other great kingdoms and closes its borders to the race of men. King Kamav was shocked at this news. He sent his own personal guards to investigate the incidents his small folk had mentioned. However, they could find no evidence of any of the men being thieves or rapists. Perplexed by the situation afoot, he sought the counsel of Feroris, for if there was any advice he could trust, it was Feroris's, or so he believed. "Nothing to worry about, my liege. This radical view will surely pass with time. This will not be a problem for the great nation of Goblonia, my king. I guarantee it." But the wave of radicalism grew within Goblonia. Men were attacked by goblins in the street. Human-owned businesses were targeted by vandals. Even the children of men were forced out of the goblin-run schools. And all the time, Feroris continued to spread hatred in the taverns. Come on, green brothers and sisters, we're goblins here all. Let's round up all the humans, make 'em our new thralls. Our slaves can build a cage for King Kamav to have. He loves man more than goblin, don't that make you mad? His head needs splitting from his shoulders, that crown needs to come off. Let's go up there, that castle now, murder that treasonous sod. The toxic chanting of the small folk filled the streets as Feroris led them up the hill to the castle. The mob faced little resistance from the king's personal guard, as Feroris had poisoned them against the men, just as he had done the small folk. They found King Kamav asleep in his chambers. The mob dragged him from his bed and flogged him out into the courtyard, where Feroris was waiting for him. "King Kamav," he said, his mouth twisted in a grin that revealed his spiked teeth. "You're charged with treason against the great nation of Goblonia. Under your rule, men have danced across our borders, raped our women, and stole our crops. Well, no more, King Kamav. I propose we cut off his head and put that crown on me. I'll put an end to this treaty, and Goblonia will be great again." The crowd erupted in a frantic fit of happiness. The goblins couldn't wait to behead their former ruler. They dived and clambered over each other, hurtling towards where the disgraced king knelt, his eyes wet with the tears of betrayal. They ripped and pulled at his robes, tossed his battered, bloody body through the crowd towards the guillotine. The Goblin King's tears were still wet when Feroris lifted the crown from King Kamav's decapitated head and held it high for all to see. And so began the complicated rule of King Feroris. But that's a story for another time. Well, wasn't that a fantastic bedtime story? I do hope that you all enjoyed this tale. And if you know anyone who could benefit from a nice bedtime fable, then maybe you could share this video with them. We do have a lot more stories on the way, so keep an eye out for those. We are aiming for about 5,000, and this is story number 2, so there's still quite a way to go. But for right now, it's way past my bedtime, so I'm gonna go get some shut-eye, and hopefully the world will still be there when I wake up in the morning. Sweet dreams.